Hello, my name's Carmen Lambert and I'm the course director for the BTEC Applied Law at Level 3, which is part of the A-Level programme, should you choose to study this subject. Some of you may just be interested in the law, some of you may be thinking about a future career in the law. That could be to do with working in employment law. You may decide that you've got aspirations to be a solicitor or a barrister or maybe a paralegal or some other field of law. I think law is a really interesting subject. It can be very exciting. It's not an easy subject to learn, but I think it's also very, very rewarding. And I've been running this course now for 2 years, and each year the numbers are growing and growing, and so far my students have been really, really successful in achieving their grades. I've had 100% success rates, and I try to make it quite engaging. The reason I do that because some areas of the law can be quite dry, and therefore looking at case studies, finding out what's happening in the news. There's so much legal activity, and looking at some different cases can actually bring law alive. This course, you'll be studying 4 different units. You'll be looking at how disputes are solved in what we call civil law. And this is really important. So for example, if somebody's been negligent, perhaps you may have been involved in an accident, you'll understand and find out, what actually happens. Where do I stand in relation to the law? What can be done? Do I have to go to court for this? How else can the problem be solved? The second unit that you'll be studying is investigating aspects of the criminal law and the legal system. So you'll start off by looking at the legal system itself and then moving on to certain aspects of criminal law. So both of those units will be studied within the first year of the course. Now, what I also try and do to make the course a bit more interesting for you is take you along to a court. So initially in the first year, we try to go to a magistrate's court and a Crown Court. Now, clearly at the moment, it's going to be COVID permitting as to whether or not that will happen. I'm hoping that in a few months, things will be sorted out so that you can actually go and visit a court. In the second year of the course, you will study 2 other units. One is called Applying the Law. And what this unit is about your application of all the concepts that you've learned. So you'll be looking at different cases, you'll be looking at issues such as murder, manslaughter, so the law of homicide. You'll be looking at burglary and theft and so forth. And so lots of different criminal activities. You'll also study a unit on family law. So if any of you are particularly interested in looking at things like family law, how it affects children, for example, divorces, marriage, civil partnerships and the like, then that's a really interesting unit that's developing and changing all of the time. So those 2 units are studied in the second year. And again, COVID permitting, what I'd like to do in the second year of the course, is take you to either to the Supreme Court or the different courts in London. For example, it could be that you might also be allowed or be able to sort of see some of the other courts, such as the Old Bailey. Again, that's useful. I think it gives you that experience of actually looking at cases and seeing how things actually operate in a courtroom. Last year, my students did that and they found that really, really enjoyable and quite a fascinating case that we were looking at the time. So as I said earlier on, it's not an easy subject. You do have to be dedicated to work hard on this course, but I think you'll find that the rewards are worth it in the end. Now, BTEC actually assess by different methods. There'll be a combination of assessment. You will be assessed what we called internal assessments, and that will be where you'll be given an assignment that I would have written and you will undertake to write, and then I will mark it and give you your feedback. And then there are also external assessments. These external assessments are similar, except these ones are written by the awarding body. They will be held or invigilated by a member of staff at the college under time conditions. So you'll have to complete this external assessment. It's a little bit like an exam, only in so much that there are certain days that it's released and it will be completed under time conditions. It will also be marked by the awarding body. Now, there are rules with all of the assessment process. First of all, they're graded as pass or merit or distinction, depending on how well you do. And you'll be getting constant feedback and practice activities as you go through these units to help support you and prepare you for when you complete your internal and external assessments. The rules are quite strict in terms of those internal assessments in particular. You must hand your work in on time, because if you hand your work in on time and you don't quite get the grade that you thought you were going to get, you get a second opportunity to try and improve that grade. If your work's submitted late, you miss that opportunity. Similarly with the external assessment, if you don't do as well as you hoped in the external assessment on your attempt, you will be offered a second attempt at that as well. Okay. Fortunately, so far, my students, as I say, have done very, very well, and providing you take on board my feedback, you'll find that you will develop as you go throughout the year. Okay. My job is to help and support you, and you will do as well as depending on how hard you work, but I'm sure if you work really, really hard, you will really reap the benefits of that as you go through the course. So the course itself will be taught for 3 sessions a week. You normally have an hour and a half for each session, and obviously that sort of fits in with the rest of your A-levels.